Good morning, everybody. Mike Niemiec here with some early morning grain and oilseed comments on this Friday, December 28th. Well, we're ending this shortened holiday week, but we're not at the year end. Next week will also be a shortened week with the New Year's Day on Tuesday. But anyway, we have been seemingly doing here of late has been opening up a little bit firmer in the morning session in here. We're up around 2 cents in the wheat, up around a penny in the corn, 5 cents in beans, $1.50 in the meal, and up around 10 points in the soybean oil. But by the end of the day of late, once again, these gains have seemingly softened up into the close. So far for the week, we're down roughly around 2 to 4 cents in the wheat classes. We're down around 2 cents in corn, a little bit weaker in the oil seeds, down around 11 cents in the beans, $1 in the meal, and down around 40 points in the soybean oil. But what has been on a little bit of a rally in here has been crushing margins, and crushing margins are up around 5 cents in the March, in the neighborhood of around 99 cents. Well, us traders, we continue to kind of adrift in a rudderless canoe per se. We continue to have the government shut down. Today we're supposed to get the weekly export sales, and we're also supposed to get the commitment of traders report. On the wires, both of those are apparently not going to be released here today. Don't know the status yet on a delayed ethanol stats report. So once again, we're kind of adrift as far as news goes from the government. And then also we continue to go banter back and forth, positive, negative, as far as the trade talks with the U.S. and China over trade. Little baby steps still continue being taken by China. Overnight they came out and said that they, for the first time, will start to import U.S. rice. But then again, they're not getting rid of their tariffs for the private sector. The talks are still ongoing. They're going to go meet again January 7th, reportedly, to go and continue. The main thing is that the U.S. says that the Chinese basically are not showing a structural change on over all these problems. And so we continue to march forward to that March truce date that could potentially continue to keep us adrift as far as trade talks go between the U.S. and Chinese. So we're at dead ends, mostly with the government right now and with China. What is legitimate is the past USDA reports that have come on out. Once again, that in limbo as well, with the government being shut down for the month of January. We continue to have more than adequate supplies of corn, wheat, and soybeans, both in the U.S. and in the world. So that's one thing that keeps a cap over the marketplace. And we'll get into it even a little bit more in the month of January. You'll have your little quasi problems in South America, but in general, the weather forecasts, both in Brazil and Argentina, remain quite favorable. And right now, they are looking to be on a par course for average to above average yields and production, much like the governments both in the U.S. and in South America are currently forecasting. It's also first notice day coming on up for the January futures on Monday for beans, corn, and meal. There's been no change in registrations, so that's one thing that will be somewhat of a constant amongst the other things that have been adrift. We continue to also, once again, not seeing the commitment of traders report. Still assume that the trade has somewhat small net short positions in the soft red winter wheat, the beans, and in the meal. Somewhat of a noticeable large position in the corn versus the short position in the soybean oil. So we really don't have big positions theoretically in the trade. We still have this non-bullish environment. I will say that we started off the month with the G20 process coming out a little bit advantageous to the trade, but ever since then we've sunk both in prices and with some of the technical stochastics in our size. They were at lofty levels. Now they're coming towards sunken levels. Maybe just something to be aware with, once again, the fundamentals still being non-bullish. Once again, these are my opinions, not that of ADM or ADMIS. Have a good weekend. Thank you.